dear viewers, welcome back to our episode. And as I said earlier, that I'm going to highlight what the Azimio leader said today, and this is in regard to the happenings in Kenya with the judiciary and the president. And as you know, that sometimes back the president had to call the Chief Justice, Mother Koome, into State House, and they had plenty to share. But out of what they shared, something now is alarming the country, that it seems like the president is trying to buy the judiciary and even to do away with the current judiciary. Okay, so let's see what Raila had to say. I'm going to read briefly the statement that was made today. Okay, let's go. The judiciary executive deal should get Kenyans worried. That was made on February 2nd, 2024. We raised alarm when information emerged that the head of the judiciary, Madam Mother Koome, was seeking a meeting with the head of the executive, Mr. William Ruto, supposedly to iron out differences between the two branches of government. This followed a thread by Ruto and some members of his party and the administration against the judiciary, following a string of unfavorable rulings against the executive. We want that there was more than met the eye in the threats by Ruto and the request for a meeting by Madam Koome. We want that Mr. Ruto's real intention was to complete the capture of the branches of the government by executive by taking over the judiciary, force it to forever rule in his favor, in addition to populating the institution with loyalists. We also want that in the entire plan, the judiciary was showing signs of willingness to prostrate itself before the president in an agreement that spells grave danger for the rule of law and the entire country. And this is where we are, or we are heading to. We know now what transpired at the State House meeting, and it is completely different from the lie the country was fed after the event. We can now confirm that there exists an elaborate plan that will allow Mr. Ruto to appoint friendly judges, mark the word, friendly judges, to the judiciary, with the complete concurrence of Chief Justice Koome. This was among the issues discussed and agreed on during the ill-advised meeting between the Ruto and Koome at State House. Okay, let's continue. At the meeting, the Chief Justice and Mr. Ruto reached an agreement that will supposedly allow Mr. Ruto to provide additional funding to the judiciary. In return for this additional funding, Justice Koome is to advertise vacancies for 5 additional High Court judges and 11 Court of Appeal judges. This is in addition to the 20 High Court judges advertised last year. In that agreement, the 5 High Court judges and 2 Court of Appeal judges will be for Mr. Ruto to forward to the JSC, and he floated the names. Immediately, former IEBC Chairman Mr. Wafula Chebukati and former IEBC Chairman Ahmed Isaac Hassan are to be appointed as Court of Appeal judges, with Chebukati be later elevated as the Chief Justice before 2027 general election. This is indeed the abusive of office. You see, now, Ruto administration, as you can hear from what Azimio are alleging or they are reporting, which could be true, that Mr. Chebukati could possibly be the Chief Justice. What a time. Let's continue. The targeting of the High Court and the Court of Appeal by Ruto is intentional. The administration believes it has completely captured the Supreme Court and now wants to target the problematic lower courts by stuffing them with loyalists. With the cooperation of the Chief Justice, after filling the executive with people of questionable integrity and capacity and who will remain eternally grateful to him, Mr. Ruto is looking to set up a user-friendly judicial system full of people with questionable pasts and limited capacity. And unfortunately, the Chief Justice is gladly smiling along and playing ball. Officially, Mr. Ruto is supposed to have agreed to give additional funding to the judiciary. That is a cover-up. The judiciary does not draw any funding from the executive or state house. Let me repeat. Officially, Mr. Ruto is supposed to have agreed to give additional funding to the judiciary. This is a cover-up. Let all Kenyans know that this is a cover-up. The judiciary does not draw any funding from the executive or state house. Article 173 of the Constitution of Kenya established the Judiciary Fund, which is administered by the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary. The provision on Judiciary Fund as contained in Article 173 states. 1. The provision on Judiciary Fund as contained in Article 173 states that, number 1, there is established fund to be known as the Judiciary Fund, which shall be administered by the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary. 2. The fund shall be used for administrative expenses of the judiciary and such other purposes as may be necessary for the discharge of the functions of the judiciary. 3. Each financial year, the Chief Registrar shall prepare estimates of the expenditure for the following year and submit them to the National Assembly for approval. 4. Upon approval by the National Assembly, the expenditure of the judiciary shall be a charge on the consolidated fund, and the funds shall be paid directly into the Judiciary Fund. 5. Parliament shall enact legislation to provide for the regulation of the fund. Now, the presidency cannot allocate any money to the judiciary. Madam Koome knows this and yet has willingly proceeded to associate herself with and endorse an illegality. Why Koome sought money from State House and not from Parliament? Only she can explain, but it spells doom. To the best of our knowledge, the judiciary has never said that it submitted budget estimates to Parliament and it was rejected. We have not seen any petition by the judiciary to Parliament over rejection of submitted budget estimates. If any, we challenge Ms. Koome to prove otherwise. Ruto is engaged in maneuvers designed to mitigate the ability of the courts to act as a check against the executive power at a time he has already muzzled legislative power through the capture of Parliament. And if you want to know that the National Assembly is captured, take note that National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula filed a notice of appeal at the Supreme Court challenging appeal court decision that declined to extend order allowing house levy deductions. The housing levy is being imposed by the executive, which is also the branch of government, who lost at the Court of Appeal. But it's Mr. Wetangula who has moved to the Supreme Court. His loud protests against court rulings are meant to intimidate and paralyze courts. The latest move agreed on at the meeting with the Chief Justice are meant to enable him pack the courts with the Kenya Kwanza friendly appointees. The scheme is further meant to transfer certain judges from the courts to the IEBC so that Ruto has a grip on the courts and the election management body as well. Where this country goes from here, should Ruto complete his intended capture of all branches of government, should be everyone's worry. The capture of the judiciary, of all institutions, is the beginning of a steady descent into anarchy. If it's the beginning of the empress of the law of the judge instead of the rule of law. Impunity and capture of independent institutions by a corrupt executive is what drove Kenya to war in 2007 to 2008. A repeat exercise seems to be underway, and the results might not be different. Still, when the JSC advertises vacancies next week, Kenyans will know what it means and who will get the jobs. It means 5 new judges picked by Mr. Ruto for the High Court and 2 judges in the name of Chebukati and Hassan, equally picked by Ruto. And the descent into the abyss will get a new momentum. In the meantime, we challenge Mr. Ruto and Madam Kome to tell the truth about their meeting. Now, that was the Azimio statement. Now, I'm going to read briefly what Kenyans think about his speech. Some Kenyans are trying to speak in a mockery way, in a mockery language, and others are in support of what Azimio leader Raila said. And others, they support the government fully, and others oppose it. Now let's see what the others are saying. And in this, we have somebody here who is saying, a wise man once said, and that wise man is perceived to be President Ruto. He said this, being in the opposition is very easy. All you have to do is shout all day, then go home. I now want to ask one question. If Raila failed to lead the opposition, will he really be able to lead the government? And that was a statement by the president, which was made on 14th February 2022. Okay, let's see another man. He says, the ODM party is home to great Mlembe leaders. The next generation is banking on you. Do not let them down. UDA must be wiped out of the Mlembe nation come 2027. Honors to Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, Edwin Sifuna, Honorable Caleb Amis, and Senator G. Otosti. Next, Governor of Vihiga County. God bless you all. Okay. Now we see another person saying, next, Ruto is coming for devolution. Kenyans need to wake up. Another man says, how can we trust the government to build us houses when they can't even fix a simple machine at Nyayo House? Okay, and this is it is relating to the what's happening at the Nyayo House regarding the passports. You know, the issuing of passports. It's a kind of a struggle to get one. As you Kenyans, I think, can relate to that. Now, the country, one says, the country is being ruled by clones. They understand completely nothing. Okay. Another one says, CJ Martha Koome advertises 11 Court of Appeal judge vacancies after meeting with Ruto. The job has salary of up to 1,187,000. Can't believe this. Another one says this is propaganda tupu. Another one says nonsense on heels. So the Judiciary Fund gets money from heaven as Mama Ama. The president is a political party leader with a huge say in parliament on matters fund allocation. So if the Judiciary need more funds, they have to visit the president. Donge. Okay, that's don't know what that means, but he has made his statement. I'm going to sum up. Let me read a few. And another one says, and you can swear the meeting was strictly between the two, CJ and the president. If so, how will you come to knowledge of what they discussed? Okay, another asks or says, these are just some of the problems and challenges that the country suffers when folks do nothing to ensure that you are declared winners of the presidential election and inaugurated. Okay, if the opposition Azimio declares never to act an opposition and stand to do their own work, many of you will be now where to be seen either dying of hunger, madeni hapa na pale, mtakufa nani. Okay, now I must wind up. There are so many comments regarding that speech, but because of time, I cannot finish up. But just if you are watching on this channel, kindly subscribe, like, and share. And you know, when you like, share, and also put a notification bell so that you can be receiving future videos from us. Hope you enjoyed the video, and let's stand firm and be strong for our country, Kenya. God bless you, and God bless the land of Kenya. Bye for now.
Speech? Your personal view on the speech?
My personal
view on the speech.
On the speech. I think the speech touched on core issues, and if that's true regarding what Ruto is planning, then I think the nation is headed to a different direction other than what we had thought before. And whatever will happen, you know, next, it could be violence. People maybe can get out and start demonstrations across the streets of Kenya, in Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru. I think even as you, my viewer, as you can see what's happening around you in the country, the life, you know, life has become so expensive, and whatever is being touched here, and people are trying to focus on 2027 elections instead of first looking and solving the problems and the issues affecting the people of Kenya, like hunger. You know, life is expensive. Things in the supermarket, you go there with 5K, you can't get something of substance that can push you. I think Kenyans have to wake up, and I think that speech is okay. If it is substantiated that is true, then the president is doing the wrong